Welcome, 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 Dr. Joe. How are you doing today?
I'm doing excellent, my man, Dr. Dave.
Awesome, sir. Awesome. So today we'd like to, well, and as every day when we have our John Saw podcast, we'd like to welcome our viewers and listeners to another great episode of Journeys of Not So Ordinary People podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Dr. Dave Peltz, and the other most awesome dude here is Dr. Joe Hamlett. And yeah, today's topic is going to be on dreams. And I'm not talking about
Dreams.
I'm running down the street without my shoes on, or or oh, there's a scary monster under
All
my
right,
bed. Not
those
those kind of
reoccurring
dreams.
dreams.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not those ones, not those ones. Or I was smoking a cigarette and it turned into a squirrel. And yeah, nothing
Right.
like that, nothing goofy like that. So we're
Okay.
going to talk about your personal and professional dreams as they pertain to like goals, like dreams and
Okay.
of what we'd like to aspire to be or where we want to go. So with that, Joe, what are your thoughts on dreams?
That is a very good question. So, you know, the first dream that I can think of that just stays in my head, was around the age of about 12. That was the first time I remember dreaming about who I was going to be and what I wanted to do for my life. And at that time, I dreamed of being a NBA basketball star. National Basketball Association basketball star, a
That's a good
legend
dream.
like Dr. J and Magic Johnson. So I'm
Right.
dating myself right now because those stars were back in the late 70s, early 80s. But as a 12, 13-year-old kid, my dream was to be just like Dr. J. And so after watching a game on Sunday when they played against Boston or something, I'd run out in the backyard and try and do everything I just saw Dr. J do. And I got really good at it. But one thing that definitely was separated me from Dr. J was the fact that he was 6'6" and I was barely 6 feet tall. So, that right there was a huge, already a letdown. So, and then also going into basketball, I was a bigger kid at the time, and so they taught me one thing, and that was to rebound. So I became a
Mm.
really good rebounder. So I never learned how to dribble or do any of those things. And so, as my dream started to not take flight, which is later years with Air Jordan, but yeah, as I realized I was going to be grounded, and I had a little help with that. My dad, my parents didn't support that at all. Didn't see that that wasn't an option for me to become a great basketball player. So that dream was literally crushed.
Mm.
I mean, it really was and you know, fast forward, and it took me a lot of years to even think beyond that first dream that I had.
Mm.
And it wasn't until I went back to school in 2005, which was many, many years later. So I'm talking more like the early 80s now to 2005. So you're talking a huge span in which I can't
20 years.
remember any other dreams
Mm.
beside that. And it
Wow.
wasn't until again 2005 when I went back to school and I, started to see the possibilities. And I don't even think I was dreaming at that time either. It really didn't dawn on me till 2014. I earned my doctorate degree and I was on a radio station. DJ asked me, "So, Dr. Hamlet, when did it start to sink in that, you were going to realize your dream of being a doctor?" And I had to stop him. I mean, almost in mid sentence. And I said, "Hey, my dream was never to be a doctor. I never even imagined that I'd be a doctor. I never knew I had the ability to be a doctor.
Yeah.
So that was the next time I thought of a dream. And it wasn't even my own. It was somebody else who thought that that was my dream. And I say all that to say that it's such a shame, that almost 40 years go by, or close to 40 years go by before I recognize that I could dream again.
Mm.
And so I just think of, because even maybe I wouldn't have been a NBA star, but I did later learn that if I would apply myself and learn some skills and things like that, that I probably could have, got a scholarship to play basketball in college and to maybe play professional some way or somehow. But I at that time when my dream was crushed or, silenced, then I never thought about it again. And
Mhm.
and so that's why I think now when I think of dreams, I literally think of the sky is the limit now. That I have not set my sights on just one thing. I just know that I have the ability to do so many more things, and so that's why I'm excited again, as excited as a kid, that I can do so many different things now.
Mhm.
And so I know that was a long intro into dreams, but that was my again my under remembering of dreams, and how it kind of went full circle, because now, like I say, I'm like a kid in a candy store again, where I do dream about what's next, what I'm capable of, if I just apply my discipline and commitment to that particular thing, that I can make it happen.
Mhm.
So I'll get off of my dream box and let you get on yours if you'd like to.
Yeah, excuse me. You didn't make me tired or bored or anything like
So
that.
now you want to go to have
No.
a real dream.
Yeah, yeah. It's nap time for Dave. No, I'm glad you shared that, Joe, because it not only was it a walk into a personal side of you, which I appreciate, and really what our show is about. It's not just talking about these topics, but it's connecting them to real life events that we've been through. I'd say most, if not all, the time.
Right.
And for me, since you brought up education, um, and we're talking about dreams, I never dreamed about being a doctor when I was growing up either. That didn't cross my mind until, honestly, I was probably a few weeks out from completing my master's degree, and that was in 2005. And honestly, I probably didn't have a real dream
Mhm.
until, I would say, I probably the second time I was in the military, honestly, because, and that dream was to get a bachelor's degree. I mean, when I first started the military out of high school, I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. I didn't really have any
Mhm.
dreams. I was thinking, well, it might be cool to teach art someday. I don't know. But I went in the military and it wasn't even in my first choice. My first choice was in electronics and I went into military police. And
Yeah,
I
that's
got the
almost
G
the same.
yeah, almost the same. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, potato, potato. Potato, strawberry, it's basically the same thing. So, when I got the GI Bill just as kind of like a maybe someday if I ever need it type thing.
Mhm.
It was more of a strategy as opposed to a dream. So, in the mid 90s, I actually took my first two college classes. I didn't take one, I took two at the same time. And that was my first introduction into formal higher education. And I
Mhm.
did well at it. And then I took a break for a few years and I'm like, well, the bachelor's degree is going to be my backup plan. And then it became part of my career plan for the military. Excuse me. I need to breathe more. That's what they say when you're yawning is because you're not breathing enough. So I guess I'm talking too much and not breathing enough. But so I started my bachelor's degree and it was just my dream at that point to get my college degree because when I graduated high school, I've mentioned this a couple of times before in our previous episodes, but I did not do well in high school. I graduated with a 2.6 GPA. And for those of you, that's like a C, C minus.
Right.
And the only
Yep.
reason I graduated that high was because I took like 5 art classes my senior year. So that kind of gives you an idea. And I got straight A's in those. So that kind of gives you an idea what what 25% of my overall GPA really did. So I was not a confident college student. I was just trying to get through. And I got my bachelor's degree, and it was like, wow, if I can do this, maybe I can get my master's degree. So the bachelor's was my first dream. And then my master's was like, well, maybe that is, and maybe that was like my first real conscious dream. And
Right.
then when I got my master's degree, I was like, someday I'd like to get a doctorate degree, you know, and I'm going to do it. But it really was a dream, and I wasn't sure what it even looked like. It was just it was more of an idea than a dream. So
Right.
when we talk about dreams, we have to really look at what does that mean to us as individuals. And maybe it is getting an education, maybe it's a job, maybe it's something materialistic like a vehicle or a home, maybe it's socioeconomic. We've mentioned to our viewers, we did not grow up uber privileged by any stretch of the word. Privilege socioeconomic wise was like, yeah, what does that mean? We get to go to McDonald's instead of food stamps this week. I don't know. And so when we talk about dreams, it's really a very subjective lens that we're looking at. What may be a dream to us may not even be an inkling or even remotely close to what someone else perceives as a dream to them.
Right. Right.
We all know about being a doctor, or an astronaut, or maybe an architect or engineer or mechanic or mathematician, or something in the health, a nurse or whatever. All these, there's a lot of stereotypical dreams, and that is based, those dreams are, a lot of those dreams are based upon how we're brought up. And to your point, you wanted to be in the NBA, and you were probably on track to getting there, but it's amazing how one or two individuals can really derail that dream. And I'm going to
Yep.
back up further. When I was in the 8th grade, I took my first art class. And my 8th grade teacher said, I don't know why you're in this class. You'll never be an artist. You're wasting my time. You're doing things, and it's not meeting my expectations. And I
Wow.
thought I'd done a couple of cool things, and that crushed my dreams to
Right.
ever do
Right.
art. So my
Right.
junior year in high school, it was like 4 years later, I was talking to a teacher, and they said, well, you're doodling. Why don't you try drawing? And I'm like, yeah, I've been
Right.
there, done
Right.
that. I don't want to
Yep.
be shut down
Yep.
again. You know, oh, I'm going to do art just so you can tell me I'm crappy at it.
Right.
And that one individual totally changed, that art teacher totally changed my perspective on my abilities to do art. And it opened my whole life's experience in art to not just drawing and doing plastic models. It was all kinds of mediums. It was drawing, pastels, ink, clay, um, painting, oils, all kinds of different mediums. And I found the ones that I really enjoyed. So
So Dave, I don't want to interrupt you, but I just want to make a huge point of the fact that the way you said it was, a couple of people impacted our dreams,
that's right.
and in my case, it affected me a long time,
Yeah,
throughout my life. In your case, you kind of recovered in 4 years, but in my case, it was long lasting. And,
yeah.
and I don't know that I would have, gotten back to the point where I was dreaming again if I had not gone down the path of education. So
Mhm.
I just wanted to highlight that, a
Yeah,
lot of us, that dream, once it's crushed, if we don't have that supporting, the family or whatever it is to help you dream again, sometimes that dream could be lost forever. And that, not just
that's a
that dream,
very
but
valid
any
point. Any
any
dream.
ability to dream again. And
Mhm.
that's where I think I was lost. And,
Yeah,
and it wasn't until I heard the gentleman, the DJ, say, "Hey, your dream." And back to your point, you said, you started to dream of being a doctor. I had never thought of it as somebody else's dream. Like you said, those common dreams that people have. So
Yeah.
that's when I really realized, I accomplished not my dream maybe, but the dream of a lot of different people. And then I really
Yeah.
started to look at it differently. I didn't mean to
Yeah.
cut you off, but I just wanted to highlight
No,
the fact
I'm
the
glad you
the
did, because that
importance
does
of,
bring a great perspective, and
yeah,
that's, I think, where I was going, is that we have to be very, very careful, because dreams are delicate.
right.
You know, they do not currently exist. That's why they're a dream, because if they're a dream
Hmm.
and you accomplish it or complete that dream, then it's an accomplishment. It's no longer a dream. So
Right.
dreams are these delicate little things out there, almost like soap bubbles. They're
Hmm.
out there, but are they real? You see them sort of, but something as gentle as a breeze or something can just take them away forever.
Right.
And that's where I kind of want us to shift our focus, that we have to be very conscious, one, about to have dreams. Even if someone shoots you down, that one person does not know you. And even if they do
Right.
know you, they still do not know you.
Right.
Only you know you the best.
Right.
So if you have a dream, don't let someone take that away from you. Your dream is your dream. And Joe and I are living proof that you can accomplish whatever you want in life. I never ever thought I'd get a doctorate degree.
Right.
Not in my wildest dreams, till it became that
Right.
little inkling. And
Yeah.
even then, I was scared. I'm going to say I was scared shitless, because
Right.
I didn't know if I could actually follow through with this dream.
Right. Yeah.
So that support piece is huge. One, don't ever take someone else's dream away, whether it sounds silly or facetious or just unattainable to you as an individual. Never ever take someone else's dream away.
Yeah.
And as individuals, don't ever let someone have that power or position to take those dreams away from you. You know,
And that goes back to some, episodes we've talked about in the past, as far as you defining what success is. Your own,
yeah,
everything that happens to you should be defined by you, not by somebody else. And that's
absolutely.
how you can maintain, that dream status if you want to, because you, as you said, you know what you want.
You know what you're
Nobody
capable of.
else. and
Yep,
and I think of people, that are living their dream, are people that didn't care what somebody else said. They
that's right.
kept moving. They had that strength, which a lot of us lack.
Yeah,
A lot of us say, in my case, I was a 12, 13-year-old kid, and my dream was crushed. I didn't know how to rebound. I didn't know how to
right.
come back and say, well, okay, forget what you say. I'm going to keep going. And I think people that, have made their success stories or their dreams come true is because they didn't allow people to, step on their dreams, or didn't, they were able to get back up
Absolutely.
even if somebody did. And I think that's the piece. I mean, you've been saying it, that, for one, we don't want to crush anybody else's dream, but at the same time, we don't want people to crush our own dream. So it's that standing hard and fast that this is what I want to do. And my daughter was here last week, to visit, and she said something to me which is absolutely true. She said, "You have the choice." And we talked about this in one of our last episodes about being the victor or the victim. And it really still comes back to it. It's still your choice. If you don't like it, if things don't go as you want it to, then change that environment, change that situation
Change
that you're in.
yourself. Do whatever you
You
need to
can
do.
do that. It's you, it's your success, it's your happiness, it's your dreams. And
Hmm.
nobody is going to see them the way that you do, just like you just said. We still have dreams of where we would like to go, and only we can see that.
Yeah,
We can't even explain it to other people because they don't see it the way we do.
yeah,
So I think that's the power in our dreams, is that we have created our own template of what this, looks like. No, it's in our head. We've defined it. And so for somebody else to come up and say that's not going to work, then how do you know? You
yeah,
don't even know what's in my head. Even if I
yeah,
try to explain it as clear as I can, you still won't understand it, because
yeah,
you're still not going to have that input, that feedback that I need to, continue my dream. So
yeah.
it's again about that taking control of your own life
Yep.
and not
That
allowing those
internal locus of control.
yeah,
Yep.
not allowing those outside influences to affect what happens to you. And I think that's very powerful. It's hard to get there. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not going to say that, yeah, you can just shut everybody off, because
that's tough.
we said this all along, that even everything we provide and everything that we hand out there, it's still up to you to decide what you want to use, what makes the most sense for you, what applies to you. And that's still the case with even dreams. You
Hmm.
know, again, you may have a dream to do whatever it is, and a lot of it is still going to be up to you, internal. You know, you're the one that knows the dream, you're the one that knows where you want to go, so it's still up to you to figure out how to get there. And I think that's the piece where a lot of people struggle, is they're defining something that doesn't exist. You said it
Hmm.
earlier. And so not having maybe those tools in front of you. So now it's that trial and error piece. I want to get to this
Yeah.
level. How do I get there? And so that's the part that's discouraging to most people, is because they don't know how to get there. And
Yeah.
so again, even with all the tools, everything that's at our, fingertips these days, is still sometimes trying to define what that your dream, or what that, it's supposed to look like. And so I think that's still the challenge with most people.
Yeah. And I want to encourage our viewers and listeners that no matter how daunting your dream may appear, how huge and tremendous it might be, you can achieve it if you want to. Absolutely, 1,000,000,000%. You can achieve whatever you want. And some of you might be thinking, yeah, we've heard this all before. But I'm going to assert, what about going to the moon? And I'm not talking about conspiracy theories. What about the space stations? What about satellites? What about breaking the speed of sound? What about all these amazing achievements that individuals and teams have collectively achieved, these dreams that never that prior to them actually being achieved had never that people thought were not even, it was impossible. You
Right,
can't do that. You
right,
can't fly. Well, I may
right.
not have wings, but I can fly. Well, I can't
Yeah,
pilot a plane, but I can fly,
right,
right? You know, you were going to take you up into this high where the trees look this big, and you're going to jump out and you're going to live. People, you know, 500 years ago, they'd be like, no, you can't do that. But
right,
that's what parachutes allow us to do these days. You can achieve or create anything. You can make any of your dreams come true. I'm not going to say it's not going to take time and effort. It absolutely will. But you can achieve whatever you set your mind to. But that's the key. You have to set your mind to it. You have to block out all the naysayers, all the people that are trying to take those dreams or destroy those dreams, or put you down or put you away, and believe in yourself, like for many years that Joe and I didn't, and find that spark inside of you to find that dream or rekindle that dream
right.
you
Yep,
once had, to say, hey,
yep.
I can do this. Now, granted, we're a little bit older. We're not the young teenagers we were that want to shoot basketball and stuff like that. So some of those dreams might appear different, or maybe they're
Right.
delayed, but
Yep,
it's not going to stop us from helping others achieve those dreams.
right. Yep.
Just because we missed an opportunity doesn't mean that that's the only dream that ever exists. So in the last few minutes, Joe, what would you like to really drive home to our listeners and viewers about having dreams and achieving them?
So like I said, I really regret that it took me so long to, like you say, rekindle dreams, and to think in that term of having dreams. I wasted almost 40 years of my life where I could have been, and I was accomplishing things, but I wasn't, relating them to dreams. Maybe they
Mhm.
were some sort of dream, but that's not the way I saw it. So I just would really encourage people, wherever you are in life, to think back on those dreams that you had as a kid that inspired you, that wanted you to fly, like Dave said, fly like a butterfly, or to be a fireman, whatever that dream was. And maybe you are like me and Dave, at an age where you can't go back and join the NBA or anything like that, but you can figure out a way that you can still utilize your dream and apply it towards something else. Like I
Yeah.
said, for a lot of years after, I love basketball. I still love basketball. I haven't played in a few years now, but I think in terms of, as my sons were growing up, I helped them with their skills, and so they were good. And now I have some grandsons, so I can continue that dream through them. So I just would encourage people to think back to when they were a kid, and the stars were so beautiful to you, whatever your dream was, or your paintings were your life, or you would do that regardless. Think about those types of things, and if you can do the exact, like I say, become an NBA star at this age, but some way you can relate your passion, your dream to what you're doing today or what you would like to do. I would just encourage you to really dream again, to
Mhm.
really, like Dave said it before, still be kind of laughing, giddy about what's next, and you're not knowing what you want to do when you grow up. I mean, I think if we could all go back to that point, the juices that flow, the excitement that you have will translate to whatever you do. And I
Mhm.
just really, that's what I'm excited about. Again, just not knowing what's next for me. So um, go back to dreaming, rekindle, brush off those dreams, sit up in the room starry eyed at night again and think about what you can do and what you can achieve. So that's where I'll leave it.
That's awesome, Joe. Really appreciate that. I'm going to add one final thought to that. Let's say you are in a position where you can't make that dream happen for whatever reason or circumstance, then use that drive and energy and ambition to help someone else's
Yeah.
dream come true. Whether it's in that area or another area, just share, With that, I'd like to close us out. Thank you to all of our viewers and listeners for joining us with another episode of Journeys of Not So Ordinary People podcast. If you enjoyed this show or any of our other shows, like the show, share it. Please share it. This
Yeah.
is what this show is about, is sharing knowledge and sharing experiences with everyone, whether it's friends, family, peers, colleagues, coworkers. Like and share these episodes, because the more people that can hear this message that Joe and I have to say, the more people we can help. So with that,
Right. Yep.
thank you again to all of our viewers and listeners for watching us and joining us for another episode of Journeys of Not So Ordinary People. Until next time, keep on being your not so ordinary you.